Oh boy, okay, I think I've done it. I think I've exhausted all of the content I can make when it comes to these new creatures that came to ARK Extinction. Also, there was a huge patch that we're going to go over in just a second. However, I did notice on the island map, there are some quote-unquote special abilities creatures get depending on where you have them, mainly in the water. I remember a dev interview actually from a while ago with Wildcard, and while they said there isn't enough water to actually submerge your creatures on Extinction in most cases, there will be some quote-unquote cool and special abilities you will see if you use these creatures on other islands that have a lot of water, mainly the island map. So I'm going to be trying out all the different creatures, seeing what water abilities they have. I would imagine that we are both going to find some special intended abilities and some abilities that were not intended for creatures that were created for a map that did not have large bodies of water. You guys aren't going to believe this, but I actually just found Groot's special ability when you put him underwater. So it turns out Groot's special ability, when he's put underwater, is he becomes 100% useless. That's right. That's amazing. That's the best special ability we have ever seen in ARK. Groot becomes completely and totally useless and basically unusable in water. That's incredible. He doesn't want to walk. He doesn't want to do anything. He can attack the local creatures that are around him, but he doesn't want to walk anywhere. He's just refusing to walk. There you have it. Make sure you tame yourself a Groot and bring him underwater as soon as you can download him to another server, because you will be thoroughly impressed by this magnificent creature and its ability to do absolutely nothing when completely submerged. I remember seeing a video a while ago too on this guy. I can't remember I think it was Syntac. Was it Syntac? Maybe it was Syntac, or I don't know. It looked like Syntac's thumbnail. But anyways, this creature apparently has a special ability as well when you put it underwater, and it's supposed to be incredibly fast when just existing underwater. Now you hold shift and yeah, it does become a super fast dinosaur or creature, whatever you want to call it. Its stamina is a big issue, unfortunately. Oh wow, I can actually fly out of water too, which is kind of nice. Oh, there we go. Yeah, like this thing is, wow, this thing is actually probably the fastest thing you're gonna find in water, to be honest with you. This is actually kind of ridiculously fast. I would imagine if you leveled it too, it would probably be a lot better. Doesn't seem like I can attack underwater at all. Like the best thing I can do is my special, that basically. And it drains stamina so fast that when it's put underwater, it's just a horrible time. Like your only hope is to get to land before you drown, because it's just not gonna want to cooperate with you and do anything else. Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Other than speed and the ability to not attack while underwater, I mean, this creature is kind of useless, to be honest with you, and you're running a big risk of draining all your stamina and not being able to do anything at all, which is kind of terrible in my opinion. I like the added slap to the face this creature gets when you're trying to desperately press spacebar and get above the water's surface, and it just screams no into the air and puts its head back down into the water like it wants to see you drown. That's probably the best feature I've ever seen in ARK. I don't know if you guys are seeing the direction of this video, but you know. Now there is something legitimate that is actually kind of cool though, and not a bug from what I understand, and it's the gas bags and its ability to float and basically become a boat when you put it in water. So let's just completely empty this guy's air sac real quick and land in the lovely ocean. Now this thing does float like any other creature, obviously. It floats very far out of the water though, and you can submerge it as well. I can't use my breath attack or anything like that while underwater. It doesn't work like that. However, if I do swim to the surface of the ocean and then I use it, he can actually inflate and he becomes even more buoyant than before. But here's the cool thing about it too that I've noticed. If you put it down and submerge it completely in water and you just let go of the controls, it actually floats back up. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Obviously, that is intended and working as intended. This thing isn't supposed to be able to just stay underwater and let you drown. So if you're on a gas bags, you know, you're not going to drown anytime soon. I can guarantee that. I'm kind of curious to see what happens when it's out of stam, though. Yeah, unfortunately, once it runs out of stam, that's basically it. It becomes a rock, and this can of crushed assholes will just sink to the bottom of the ocean, which kind of sucks. And I'm disappointed in it now. Something else that's weird that I've noticed is the Enforcer on the island map seems to only have one charge of teleportation. I don't know if this is an intended change or not. I guess we'll find out once I go down the patch notes with you guys and we see what the deal is, but I did notice some differences in some of the creatures. Now, the Enforcer is actually a special case when it comes to water. The cool thing about the Enforcer is that if you bring it down to an area in the ocean, right here, for instance, where, you know, you want to teleport down, you want to get down there real quick, well, I mean, you can actually do that fairly easily. It'll actually teleport underwater, and it's super fast, and it sinks to the bottom of the ocean as well. Now, the thing all of you guys are going to love unconditionally when it comes to the Enforcer and being underwater is not only its speed and the ability for it to run on the bottom of the ocean, but it's the fact that when it comes to climbing your way out, let's say you get stuck in a little trench and there's no way out but up and you need to climb. But when it comes to that, yeah, you guessed it. You can't climb. It doesn't work. It doesn't let you climb. And that's just that. Once this guy's at the bottom of the ocean, if you find yourself trapped and only walls allow you to get up, well, I mean, at that point, you're basically boned and you have to traverse the ocean till you find a slope, or you let this guy go in a cryopod, and that's... I mean, clearly to me, this is the byproduct of something that was never meant to be put in water. They didn't have, you know, hey, what happens when it's submerged in water in mind when they made these creatures, unfortunately. Something that is actually kind of nice, though, I will say now, is that the mech in water works out pretty good. It can still shoot its plasma pistol, it can still attack with its sword, but surprisingly enough, the thrusters on its feet give enough propulsion to let it go straight up. I think you can move forward a little bit and get out of some, I guess, less than fortunate situations. When it gets out of the water, however, unfortunately, it's heating up, speeds up, and, well, everything else just goes to hell from there. But it does seem like the mech can sustain, I guess, quote-unquote, flight for a longer period of time when completely submerged. I've also noticed that while in the mech, you don't seem to drown, which is also nice. It has its own self-sustained air system, and that's actually kind of a nice feature to add into this thing. So yeah, definitely bring your mech in water. I'm sure water and electronics go together perfectly fine. Now, while Groot is being useless in the water as a Titan, this guy, on the other hand, is not completely useless because this thing can dive down like a submarine. You don't get dismounted even though it's a flying mount, and it moves just like it would normally if it was in the water. And surprisingly enough, its flying creatures now are fish, and it reminds me of like a scene from Subnautica when the schools of fish are just going all over the place, you know, on your screen. I'm sure you guys know about Subnautica. I'm sure you also get the reference. However, it does seem like these schools of quote-unquote fish instantly drown after a little bit, and they just despawn and go back into your body, which kind of sucks. Actually, I'm one of those fish drowning right now because I didn't use infinite stats. So obviously, this Titan was never meant to be submerged. However, it is nice because it can hover back up into the atmosphere and, I guess, easily escape the aquatic depths. Now, the reason behind this is actually kind of interesting. The reason why this thing can actually fly out of the ocean without really doing anything or flapping any wings is because this creature is unique in the way, instead of using traditional propulsion, this guy actually has his own gravitational field. And you can see it right here. It has some kind of magnetic or something is going on with gravity and this Titan in particular. Is it powerful underwater? Yeah, definitely. Is it slow underwater? Yeah, definitely. Is it useless? No. Groot is useless, though. He's just completely and totally worthless underwater. Don't bring Groot underwater. As far as Gacha, he is completely underwhelming. We're not going to even look at that. It's not worth looking at. And Spindles as well is completely underwhelming. And not only is Spindles underwhelming, he's completely and totally broken underwater. You instantly drain your stem if you try to use turret mode at all. And all around, it's just a horrible time trying to mess with this thing underwater. So don't bring your Spindles underwater. This guy is not adapt at all for aquatic adventures. Now, I do have questions about the owl and how it functions in water. I imagine I dismount. Yeah, I did dismount instantly, which is a common feature with these creatures. However, god damn it. However, we do know the owl has a special ability that makes it turn into a giant clump of ice and basically does its healing stuff. It has thermal vision too, you know, all that stuff, but I'm wondering what happens if I do this and I freeze myself and I go into the water. Oh, it instantly just stops. So Snow Owl has the greatest ability at all, and it's to stay the hell out of the water so it doesn't become a useless hunk of meat. We may have just found the most efficient aquatic creature in the DLC. The Snow Owl chooses to unload the gun rather than wear a bulletproof vest. I really hope you understood that. The final creature is this guy right here, the Ice Titan. Now, the interesting thing about the Ice Titan is that it doesn't seem to want to walk into water on its own. So this guy as well is pretty interesting when it comes to going underwater and using this guy for aquatic combat. Namely, once you leap into the ocean, if you go deep enough or you go into the wrong place, you are totally and completely at the mercy of the elements, because this guy will not only fall down here, but it will find a way to get stuck on every potential ledge. Anything that it can get stuck on, it's going to get stuck on. But again, these are totally super top secret, super special abilities that no one is supposed to know about because, well, that's just that, basically. Its attacks do work underwater. I can confirm that right now, though they're kind of derpy. And hey, that's a Moza. It instantly died. Okay. But yeah, this guy is kind of interesting underwater, but like, I dislike the Frost Titan and its movement mechanics. You know, it's just, I don't like how this thing moves. I don't know why. I like Groot a lot, actually. Groot is my favorite Titan. He's also the strongest from what I understand. But regardless, that's enough of these shenanigans when it comes to these creatures. I actually have a couple things to do now. So there was actually a patch a couple hours ago that was kind of interesting because they've made a lot of changes to the game. And the patch notes for client 287.100 are really in depth, and there are a lot of updates. However, I feel like these are changes and updates that they should have made and caught before Extinction's release, because they effectively released some kind of broken things. But at the same time, you know, I can understand being in the position where you have literally millions of people that want to play your game, and you know, you have a product you need to release. So I understand that. Titans received a massive debuff overall, in my opinion, when it came to transferring them and taming them. And I think the worst of these comes from the Wild Titans now deal 5 times damage to Tame Titans. That is absolutely terrifying. That's like trying to take your Giganotosaurus up against a wild Giganotosaurus. You just don't do that. They've increased the rate of starvation by 3 times, which is a lot to increase something by. Once you download a Titan to another server, it has 0 food as soon as it's downloaded, so it's instantly dying the moment you bring it into the server, and that's just that. Overall, I feel like they really stomped on the ability of the Titans. However, they are still very formidable creatures on the DLC. So, you know, I wouldn't worry too much, but it does cause some concern for me in the way of taming it and its viability now when taming them, especially versus other Titans. Gacha had some minor changes as well. I guess some minor fixes to its inventory system and how it reacts with other things. Now, Spindles actually got an update as well, and quite a few bug fixes when it came to, I guess, its AI and its stamina. It was having some issues with stamina, and I noticed this very apparent. It was super bad. So I have Spindles around my base on the survival server that I have for Extinction. And I noticed that if you put it in turret mode, there's a chance when it starts shooting to instantly drain its stamina. Now, mine have like 4,000 stam, and they shouldn't be draining instantly. And yet, you know, like 3-4 shots in, and they're done. Like, that's it. Their ammo is spent. They're done. They're like one-hitter quitters. However, you guys should see some improvements in the Dinosaur in general. The mana also received a nerf with its stamina. If you use chain jumps, it will actually drain stamina faster. And I also wanted to make note of the IK system and this creature. Now, this isn't actually anything super important, IK. I've had some people ask me about this in the past. The IK system is basically just a fancy movement system. And what it does is, if you have a creature walking up a hill, it will angle it so it looks like it's walking up a hill. If you don't have an IK system on creatures, they will just be completely and totally flat while walking up hills. Actually, if you watch the Isle, you'll see perfect examples of what I mean. They're currently working on an IK system. The Snow Owl received a buff/debuff, I guess, when it came to PvE and its healing ability. Element Veins have been re-enabled finally, and I really hope you guys don't lose any bases from this. I am super concerned about it. Meteors have also been re-enabled. The Enforcer had a buff with its range of, I guess, the reach with its attacks and stuff like that. They fixed up the orbital supply. They fixed up the orbital supply drop. You now get tech engrams from Titans when they die, and that's basically the gist of the update. There's a lot of like miscellaneous stuff down here too. The mech actually had some updates that were kind of important. It can shoot now while not aiming. It fixed an issue where the mech would be pushed into siege mode. You know, they've been working on issues that have been seen in the servers and issues that are getting reported more or less. So it's good to see that. I'm happy to see that they're still working on the game actively to try and rectify some of the issues that we've seen post-launch of Extinction. I feel like some of these issues should have been addressed prior to the release. Like, the whole Titan dealing massive damage to the supply crates and stuff. That was actually a question I asked on their stream. I was like, you know, what happens if you use a Titan and you use it to attack a supply drop? Does it destroy it instantly? And they were like, yeah, it will totally mess that thing up instantly. But yet, apparently, it wasn't a thing. So we're actually here on the Isla Nicta server now, because I wanted to show you guys something, and I wanted to do something while you guys were still around, if you're still around this point of the video. So I've actually got these gachas right here, and these guys are superbly amazing when it comes to creating items. These guys, oh my god, I've gotten so many ascendant items from these, and their crystals, it's almost crazy. Now let me just show you the stats of these guys real quick. So these guys average 400% to 500% crafting skill, and some of the stuff they're dropping is mind-boggling. Actually, I could show you some of the items I got in just a moment. But what I'm going to do is, for everything these loot boxes drop, I've actually got one changed right now, but for everything these guys drop, I will actually give it away on the Isla Nicta server soon. We're going to do an event where, you know, these crystals are all given away. I'm going to drop them in a giant pile. There's going to be like 100 of these suckers, and I guess anyone that's around on the server for the event will be able to run up, grab the crystals, they're goodies, and hopefully they get some really nice ascendant loot. And actually, right here, I've got a bunch of them already. That was awkward. I've got a bunch of them already inside this. Now, what I've gotten so far in these is nothing compared to what I should have. Now, I know there's not many ascendant crystals in this right now because I was opening the colored ones that I had seen that I thought would have cool loot. Let me just show you what I've gotten so far. So anything that you see in this is basically stuff that we've received from the gacha. And actually, I have one of the items equipped right. No, I don't actually. Apparently not. The items you're looking at right now are all items that we received from the gacha. We've gotten a bunch of ascendant stuff that's super good. We also had 2 ascendant shotguns. I'm not sure what I've done with them yet. I gotta look around and see. Someone might have looted my body while I was asleep. I don't know. I was asleep outside, so it's not like it's a big deal. But some of the items that we've actually gotten from these is really impressive. I'm gonna put it that way. It's super impressive stuff. You can actually see a lot of the items here as well that we received from the crystals. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to open up all the ones that seem to really matter. And you know what? I'm going to take all of them and open them, actually. And we'll see what loot I get at the end of it. So here's all the crystals right here. I know we have like 1 ascendant one or 2 maybe, but I'm going to open all these now and see what we get. Okay, I don't know how many that was, but there was a lot of them. And that gave me a lot of cool stuff, actually. So I got some ascendant weapons right here, right off the bat. Some ascendant armor. I did notice I got an Ascendant Riot chest piece too somewhere. This right here, yeah, this, and then the helmet as well, Mastercraft. Like, these items are super powerful things. Like, this is actually kind of impressive, and the loot you get is kind of broken, but at the same time, these guys are, oh crap, these guys are super good. I would definitely suggest investing in a decent leveled gacha and opening some crystals, because the stuff that you get, oh man, you get some really good fancy stuff. Now, all of this stuff that I got, I'm going to be dropping on the server for people to get. So if you see me around, you know, hey, you got any of that fancy gacha loot? Because I might have something on me that I can actually give you, and it might actually be a decent item. Let's take a look around real quick and see what I can see around here. I've got a lot of creatures around the base. This is the base, by the way, that we've actually set up in, which it's kind of fortified, kind of nice. A lot of base upgrades need to be done. We're kind of behind right now because we haven't been keeping up with people in general on the server, and I'm sure a lot of people by now are far past us. See everything up right here. And that, my friends, is basically it for now on the video. So we went down through the patch notes. We saw a lot of interesting stuff with the creatures when it came to bringing them to a different island. I don't recommend bringing extinction creatures to the island at all because you need to keep into consideration, you know, there's a very good chance they're going to be broken, and there's going to be other flaws that I haven't outlined here that people will discover and stuff. So definitely keep these creatures to this DLC because it's just, they're not meant to be anywhere on maps that have lots of bodies of water and stuff like that. It's just going to be a bad time and a headache for you. Anyways, guys, that is it for now on ARK. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down below about the patch notes that we went over and everything you have seen in this video. That's it. I will see you in the next one.